So when I get started, I want to mark both of my heddles with the beginning and the ending spots so that once they're threaded, the threads are lined up in alignment all the way across. I'm going to start with the first heddle, and I've got my yarn tied on around the back apron rod, and now I'm going to pull my yarn through, and with doing double heddles, I need to go through each slot twice and see that I'm pulling it around the back apron rod as I would normally for every other thread. So here's the second thread through that first slot. Now I'm doing the second one. Around the apron rod and a second thread through that slot. And I'm going to continue like this all the way across till I get to my other edge. And I find that it helps a little when I pull the second thread through to just kind of push down a little bit on the first warp threads. All right, so here's our last threads to complete this warp. So I'm going to cut the end and tie this off. So before you start winding onto your back beam, you want to go back and check to make sure that you got 4 threads into each slot. So checking the first 2, I see that I did, but here, right here, I've only got 2 threads going through each slot. So by checking now, I am able to fix that. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tie on back here on the apron rod again. And I will find, here's my first one that was missing one. I will pull a second set of threads through and place it around the warping peg. And then I'm going to pull under so it's wrapped around, because I have a second one to fix here. So now that I've added those threads, I'm going to cut and tie on to secure those extra ends in place. So now I just want to wind onto the back beam as I normally would with the paper inserted between the layers. So the first part of threading is we need to move 1 thread from each bundle of 4 into the hole next to it. So I'm going to work my way across, taking 1 thread from each slot and moving it into the hole immediately to the right. Doesn't matter which thread. So I'm just going to pull 1 from each, put it in the hole to the right. And you can, if you want, sort of drape them over the back to keep track of your place. So now I've got my holes threaded in the first heddle, and I'm going to take this, holding on to the threads, and move it back to the farthest set of notches, and I'm going to take the empty heddle and move it into the previous position of the last one. And now I'm ready to begin threading this from back here. I'm going to start with the furthest thread on the right, which is the one that's coming through the hole. And next to it, I have the bundle of 3 that come through the next slot. So I'm going to take the whole thread from the back, and I'm going to bring it up here to where I've measured the first thread should be, that slot. So that whole thread is coming through the slot. Now I have 3 in this grouping here, and I'm going to take the first one. It doesn't matter which one you grab. I'm going to take the first one, I'm going to bring it through the same slot that the last thread went through. The next thread goes through the hole to the left. And the next thread goes through the slot to the left. So I've got 2 through the first slot, 1 in the hole, and 1 in the slot. And from here across until the very other edge, that will be what I'm looking for, is 3 in a slot, 1 in a hole, all the way across. So I'm going to thread the whole thread from the back heddle, and the place that I'm putting it is going to be into this slot right here that has 1 thread in it from the previous bundle. So that whole thread goes through the slot that already had yarn in it. And then the first thread of the 3 in your bundle is going to go in that same exact spot, so that we've now loaded 3 threads through that slot. Then I have 2 threads left, and they're going to go individually, 1 into the empty hole to the left, and then 1 I'm going to move over to the next slot to the left, which is also empty, and pull that through. Now this is going to be the spot where I put the whole thread from the next bundle. So there's that overlap from bundle to bundle that's going to leave you in the end with 3 threads in each slot and 1 thread in the hole. So here comes the whole thread. Here comes the first one from the bundle of the 3. Now I've filled that first slot, and I'm going to go into the empty hole and the empty slot. So now I've got all of my threading done. I check across the top real quickly. I can see that I have 1 thread in each hole. And Underneath, I should have 3 threads in each slot except for the 2 ends. On the left-hand end, there's a single thread, and on the right-hand end, there are 2 threads, which adds up to 3. So just do a quick check of that before you tie on to make sure that you've got them threaded correctly. So now that I'm threaded, I want to tie on as I would normally. I just divide my warp into sections and wrap them around the apron cord and tie them in the little half knot. Pull it tight, tie it up. And then we'll be ready to weave. And what you're going to do is you want to now hold the heddles together. So I bring them forward together and into the up position. And you can see that creates my first shed here, the up shed. And then holding them together, I slide them both into the down position for the second shed. Some drafts will occasionally call for you to use the heddles separately. So you can move these heddles either together or separately to do your weaving.